Hey, you, welcome back to the channel. Guys, we've made it through the week. We've made it through to the weekend, and I hope you all have a great one. So, I want to do something fun today. I just want to take a look back at 2018 and moving forward now and just really looking at the tokens I was in and trying to find out, which tokens I think going forward are going to be the best and the way to go personally for me. I've done this video today, Electroneum versus Bit.tube versus Bitcoin MYK. Some of these tokens seem to be biased that have made it up on this list, but I just want to talk about some of the tokens that I really think are going to have significant value in the future of cryptocurrency. And it's not any of the top 20 tokens, oddly enough. Uh, of course, Bitcoin, I would say Bitcoin's, gonna be a factor always on this list. It's always going to be the first out the box. It's always going to have value and be the kind of the cornerstone there. But recently in recent news, I've heard things like Ethereum may find its way outside the top 20, and it might end up not being one of these great coins that it used to be. Whether that's the case or not, what I'm going to focus on today is the coins I see value in and how they stack up with one another. What are their similarities? And just talk a little bit about why I think this is important that coins have these components to them. So, of course, Electroneum been my favorite coin for a long time. People have accused me of being in a cult, the cult of Electroneum. But I can tell you that there are very practical reasons why Electroneum has been my favorite coin so long in the crypto space. And again, when I'm looking at value to something and people using something, I don't always look at price, because if you want to look at price, then we can take you through several eras of tokens that were performing very well in top 10 that are no longer there, that are in fact no longer in existence pretty much. So, that's why price can be, something that's not reliable and a bit deceiving if the product itself is lacking in how it serves the consumer base and serves the users. And so Electroneum made a lot of sense to me. What appealed to me the most about Electroneum is thinking about no matter where you're at in the world, everybody seems to have a smart device or a cell phone, right? And so doesn't matter your economic level, doesn't seem much either. People can come up with cell phones, smartphones, smart devices. And so finding value in this technology and moving it back and forth to one another, it made sense to me that Electroneum would create this cryptocurrency that allows them to move that value back from phone minutes and various things they're already using to conduct business, right? To trade for value. And so I seen that as a very important use across the world as Electroneum has expanded with partnerships to deal with this on a very high level, high volume level. I always liked Electroneum. Then Bit.tube came on the scene. Bit.tube being this kind of had the feel of YouTube, and uh, I found that very appealing. The social dynamics of that and the user friendliness of what would be this uh, uh, concept of a site that billions of people around the world already use something similar to it. And there is a lot of value in Medium, right? And I've learned, I can't tell you how many things I've learned from watching YouTube, how to do basic things around the house, instructional videos, interaction with people like myself, and being a content creator as well. And it's hard to put a value on that. That's very valuable and very useful to people. Very valuable to people. And so, you know, those two coins have very similar attributes that are valuable to people because they incorporate this very, at the same time as being a way to transfer value. This has a very social dynamic to it. And even with Electroneum, many Electroneum users will tell you that one of the most important dynamics of Electroneum is just how the community gels together. And you need a good community to accept your cryptocurrency and your coin, to want to use it, to have the faith to see value in it, right? And so if you don't have that, even I don't care how great your project is or how technologically advanced you think it is or what it needs to do, it won't resonate with people. And it's the people who place value into things, right? Nothing in the universe necessarily is pointing at that it can't exist or go on without humankind. So the value that goes into anything is what we put into it. And so then we're talking about my project, my passion project, which I think was important, Bitcoin MYK, which I think the most compelling feature about Bitcoin MYK is the universal basic income component of it. There have been several Bitcoin forks, and they aim to do things like become a money for Bitcoin, so Bitcoin could be transacted fast without taking value away from Bitcoin holders. A lot of people just say, well, we got other tokens we can use and they're faster and they're better, but they're not Bitcoin, and the billions upon billions that have went into the Bitcoin infrastructure, they don't support that. So it will work more like a dilution from Bitcoin than anything. So I think that's been a problem with just switching to another coin. So Bitcoin MYK brings all that into consideration, keeping the value, Bitcoin's value, and the user value in there, but using unclaimed tokens, lost tokens, value to fund universal basic income, which is a very important topic, I think, for what will be for the 21st century. And I think it's going to be that so much so to where it's going to spawn mass adoption possibly. And yet it's set up to interface easy for these people to use it in a familiar way to how they use all their other social media. And so that makes it very user-friendly to them. And so it makes them easy to come into the cryptocurrency space. So as you see with all three of these tokens, there is this, you could say, heavy social dynamic to how we interact with one another, how we transfer value over to one another. And so the social media space, guys, I believe is it. I believe this is going to be the mass adoption engine, the understanding of social, what's coming in my mind as social media dollars. This network, this already big connection, and that value being put into aggregate form and being these social media dollars. We see that's happening with Facebook now. Facebook has figured it out. Facebook's launching a stable coin, and they're using the Facebook users It's obviously starting with WhatsApp. A lot of people use WhatsApp. A lot of people use WhatsApp. I've used WhatsApp several times. And, they have now this way to transact through this Facebook dollar, or will have soon. And that's going to be very significant because they're moving their value through social media. And from that, I'm pretty sure they're going to start to trade with that Facebook dollar and be able to accept payments in that Facebook dollar. No doubt about it. As well, all of these similar features feed into this social media idea. And I think that's why these tokens work so well. And I think that's why they're going to work very well in the future and be the way forward. So what do we need to look at in comparing these tokens as far as why we would want their price to be stable? So let's think about it. One big, huge problem in the cryptocurrency space has been that as to transfer this value, the markets are going crazy. It's a lot of volatility due to lack of mass adoption. As the space starts to mass adopt more, the margin gaps will get slightly, ever so slightly, and it will move less. This will be good because what this does is it makes it so you have your value that you sent over yesterday today, right? You wouldn't want to receive value from something and wake up the next day and half the value's gone. So for it to be this reliable type of way to transfer value, you need that. Now, without mass adoption, again, it's very difficult to have that. And as the cryptocurrency space has struggled to mass adopt, they're going to continually have that problem. And it's going to make it to where when we send this value over these units of these tokens or what have you, that you're not going to have a very reliable transactional unit, right? So whereas many of these, I think this is where Bitcoin MYK might probably end up winning over on many of these coins in the lineup here, and not to be overbiased about Bitcoin MYK. I'm going to give everybody their rightful shine. But the reason I think Bitcoin MYK, another thing, Bitcoin MYK, this is the first month out, so it's been able to kind of observe all of the structure of the cryptocurrency space over the last several months and kind of manufacture itself into what it needed to be to address those problems. So it has that advantage. But the point I'm getting to, guys, is one big concern has been, well, if you're giving out universal basic income, when that pull the market down and these various things, and how would the value be transferred then? Well, what happens is with the UBI, that will make it more easy to mass adopt. And so what you get is this kind of push and pull mechanism. And you have a token that goes up in the growth rate. In our theory, it goes up as it grows, but it's a very stable rise. And as you have the push and pull mechanism against the universal basic income versus traditional trading and business and value, it makes it a bit more stable. So it works better as a money to transfer the value. Whereas what tends to happen with some tokens is that they're very highly speculative, and due to low volume or lower participation, it becomes a bit more difficult for them to be stable, right? And so, that's going to be a slightly problem if you want to use this as money. Now, the great thing about all three of these coins, looking at like something like Bit.tube, Bit.tube has a great potential to grow. Its similarities are so close to YouTube being a $1 billion company, but it doesn't give the viewers any value back. It faces the same issue as Facebook, right? Facebook has all the users, but doesn't give any direct value to the users who make the space valuable. YouTube has the same issue. Bit.tube doesn't have that problem. So if Bit.tube could even capture like a very small part of the YouTube market cap, which is $90 billion, right? Which meant that if it captured around 1%, just 1% of YouTube's market value, it would be around $1 billion company, right? Propelling it up in past the top 20, around in the top 10, right? And so this is my hopes for Bit.tube, and I think Bit.tube's now expanding into many different areas in social media, because at the end of the day, these are all Bit.tube, YouTube, they're social media sites, right? And that's why I keep going back to social media. Social media is going to be the best way to mass adopt, but you're going to have to get the numbers. And to get the numbers, you're going to have to offer people value. They're going to have to be able to understand that value and understand why they need that value. If you can convince people of that, you can mass adopt. Now, I think what's going to be disappointing to some is, no, you cannot mass adopt by having a highly speculative asset. That does not happen. It has not happened as far as I know in history. Well, and that's what's been happening a lot in the cryptocurrency space. Yes, these coins are here, and yes, some will survive because they were able to catch on the early ICO craze, where a lot of money, ridiculously large sums of money, were poured into them, and some of them still have some of that money, barely, but it's allowing them to stay in the games, or stay in the number. That's the word I was looking for too, as for now. But as far as being sustainable, because it costs them so much to run per day, many of them are dwindling out. As we've seen the layoffs, we've seen a lot of them just burning out, going under. And the reason for that is because of what we're mentioning now. They caught on the ICO craze. They aren't in demand or very relevant. To be relevant, you have to be something people find value in. Not that you feel they should find value in it, but they just do. When we look at social media, people invest a lot of time in it. A lot of people are addicted to it. They can't stop using it. They don't get paid to use it, even though they build up a lot of value in these networks. That is evidence and proof that people need social media. They don't have to get paid to use it. They just want to do it anyway. And it's a need, and that's why they're using it. And so that's why I congregate around tokens that have aspects of that. Now, Bit.tube has all that right. Bit.tube gets that. It's branching even further into the social media. Bitcoin MYK has a striking resemblance to Facebook. It's venturing into that category as well. And Electroneum has a great supportive community, and it's growing in various ways. But the one concern I have about Electroneum on this list when it comes to embracing social media, and I had talked about this several months ago, about Electroneum probably needed to get a social network going, is that it has a good network, but I would really encourage it and like to see it make that network into a more socially cohesive system, and get a little bit more involved in the social media space. And they do have the forum website, I think they have going on their site. I think I visited a few times, and we're waiting still, I believe, on the gig economy. But I think these things will help get Electroneum into that space, right? And so I think it is coming for Electroneum, but that's the only point Electroneum would miss in this. Now, the next thing these three have in common, and that seems to work quite well, is a concept and idea that's going around in cryptocurrency now, called the rise of the free coins. Now, when people think of free coins, the first thing they think about is, this is crazy. If you give away free coins, you give away all your value, that the price will drop. The token won't be worth anything. People just walk around with free worthless tokens. And in some cases, that's true. but not in all cases. If you get it right, it helps the mass adopt, and it helps people to obtain and see value in your token. Let's compare it this way. If you were to take the monetary system that exists in our world today and you compare it to cryptocurrency, it's a great deal easier to get money in the traditional financial markets. It's easier than it would be in the cryptocurrency space. You can get a job. Your parents could give you money. You can find it on the street. All these various things. And so everybody holds value in it. Everybody's an owner of it in some way. Different in the cryptocurrency space. You got to go through a lot to even be able to get access to it. And once you get access to it, you've got to, there's not a lot of ways you could obtain it unless you're buying and purchasing it with fiat. And so the rise of the free coins are tokens that allow people to get portions of the tokens without paying for them. That's becoming quite popular as well. And I think that's going to help the mass adoption to be the way forward in the future. Now, Bit.tube has that down pat as well. They have a very similar thing. They call it airtime. But how airtime works, if you're engaged in their social media, if you're engaged in their video platforms, you're earning their tokens just by sitting there watching something. If you did on YouTube, you wouldn't receive anything, but you actually get paid when you do it on Bit.tube. Similar thing with Electroneum. They have the mobile Electroneum miner. We just turn on your phone, let it run in the background. You don't touch it again, and you're earning several Electroneum dollars per day, right? And so what's so great about both of these concepts is that, they have a working business model, both of them. So they're making money, they're earning money traditionally, but a percentage of it, pretty much free, goes to people who participate in it, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's why I think these coins are great. Now, Bitcoin MYK in comparison, very similar thing. Bitcoin MYK, a Bitcoin fork, doesn't take value away from the cryptocurrency markets. It gives the coins to the Bitcoin holders, but the coins that are not claimed, that are lost and various things, they go back into circulation, and they pay for the Universal Basic Income program. As well, it has a cross-chain token that goes across other social networks that they can obtain free as well. They don't have to pay for them either. And so these models, I think, make a lot of sense to mass adoption going forward in the future, and being comparable to what we get in traditional economic systems, where the common person has opportunity to your money system, right, and can trade it and various things like that. A lot easier than what we have in the cryptocurrency market. Now, there are many other coins, similar coins, that do this, that give away free coins in some form or another, or have some type of social media component into them. But as I've looked at them, to me, they just don't have the branding. And let me explain to you what I mean by the branding. Branding is important as to how you get your projects and get value to your projects, to get people to recognize the value of your projects, right? Now, when I look at Bit.tube, it sounds like YouTube, right? Bit sounds like Bitcoin. These are two huge brands. So that works well for Bit.tube. It even has this play button thing that looks similar to YouTube. So Bit.tube has a good idea, a good way of branding. If you look at Electroneum here, Electroneum, of course, has the very user-friendly mobile miner, which doubles as the wallet. And so that allows people to earn the crypto, and it's very easy. It was one of the first cryptocurrencies that made it very easy to get tokens off your smart device and actually use your smart device to send payments back and forth. It had that very simple user interface, and so that's very important as well. And then it was also just through good marketing to get the brand recognized early on with their ICOs and their referral programs and various things like that. All that worked out very well. Both of these entities were good at branding, right? And of course, Bitcoin MYK, it's no mistake that Bitcoin's in the in the forefront there, right? Because Bitcoin is highly recognizable. Forks allow you to take on existing Bitcoin users. Bitcoin being the biggest cryptocurrency with over 50 million wallets to date. And so these are my top three going forward now. Now, of course, Bitcoin MYK, I think it was really too early for it to be in here, but I'm going to say content creator bias got it in here. But between Bit.tube and Electroneum, big supporters of these guys, and I believe they're going to be around when maybe some of these top 10 tokens aren't going to be around. That are probably going to white dwarf and dwindle away pretty soon. And so who's the best? That's the thing about it. It's going to also depend on the social media aspect of it, right? Because the social media aspect, I think, is going to be the key thing to mass adoption. The unfortunate part at this time is Facebook's going to end up doing this better than any of us. And as much as I hate to say it, they are, because they understand the gravity of social media, and they have that platform already. And so initially, I think they're going to do it better than the cryptocurrency space. But I think the cryptocurrency space will catch up, because the cryptocurrency space is innovating models that traditional finance doesn't have. These ideas like Bit.tube with airtime, the mobile miner, instant payment processor with Electroneum, it being able for people to exchange their phone minutes for value and various things like that. And Bitcoin MYK going forward into the hot topic of dealing with what I think will be the 21st century's greatest problem, artificial intelligence and automation, and creating this universal basic income program to mass adopt, let communities and people have their own value token to exchange their value to one another, and create this recognizable token of value that can be something that can hopefully keep us from a catastrophic time that may be coming here. Many governments won't be ready to deal with what we could be facing with the robotics revolution. And so some nations might be, some might not be, but whatever the case is, you certainly want to be prepared for. So I see these tokens as being tokens people really have uses for, guys, and I'm not going to knock any tokens, but, gaming and, many other uses I've heard come up. This is what it appears to me to be like. To me, it seems like somebody just are attempted to create platforms just to say that they have uses, right? Having a use is very different from having a significant use, right? And so I can go create anything or any product or any invention. And I can compare it to this, guys. Have you ever watched this show called Shark Tank, where people bring up their inventions every episode, and the people fund them? They either accept them or pass on them. And some of the products are very good, right? And they do have uses. They have use cases, right? Somebody can use them somewhere, I'm sure, if it's just like one guy out in a barn somewhere. But the reality of it is they pass on many, probably most of these inventions, because they know they don't have significant use or significant markets. My question is, do many of these cryptocurrencies we're using have significant cases and significant markets, right? I guess we're going to be able to answer that question in the future. But to me, all three of these tokens line up pretty well. Now, who comes out the best? I think it's going to depend on the day of the week with that. And the landscape of what's going on in the world and where people place their value as such. But I could tell you I very much like all three of these tokens. Going into 2019, a lot of my focus is going to be on them. And it's going to be interesting to watch. But guys, that's all I want to talk about today. I hope you all have a great weekend, guys. And until next time, take care.